For coastal cities and for mature coastal cities like ours, we found that the best place to zone, or rezone I should say, is where we have really dying strip malls. And strip malls are, as they say, in the newspapers you read, they're set way back from the street. In front of them is an ocean of asphalt, and you have underperforming, maybe poor performing strip malls that could be repurposed. You could retain those retail centers, move the building forward, have parking in the back, and have residents on top, and even some commercial and office space maybe in the middle. And that's what we did in our city. We did that back in 2010 with what was known as the Beach Edinger Corridor Specific Plan to really concentrate that development on two corridors, the Beach Boulevard Corridor and the Edinger Corridor. And that's a workable plan that really should be looked at by coastal cities throughout the state.
So the cities don't build, the developers have to come, and do the developers find these places, or do the cities recognize them?
A little bit of both. Developers will look at a zoning map. They'll look at a strip mall that maybe is for sale. They'll do their due diligence and say, okay, this is an acre. What is the maximum allowed density? And some cities, like ours, it's 35 units an acre. Does 35 units an acre pencil out? Does 35 units an acre pencil out if there's an inclusionary mandate or inclusionary ordinance in that city, which means that they have to have maybe 10% or more affordable units? Can they leverage those affordable unit requirements for a density bonus and build maybe 50 units on that acre if they provide more affordable units? So it's a little bit of both. So developers will look at the market, see what's for sale. They'll check with the city what the underlying zoning is. If the zoning isn't conducive to what they want to do, then they'll work on a zoning change.
Now, a lot of the residents think that this is too much mandate for them. Some residents, they say, okay, we bought in a single family resident, we were committed to this. And now the cities have to change and bring a lot more units. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, zoning is fluid. It's not sacrosanct. So when you zone, the zoning doesn't stop. You say, okay, well, we're zoned. This is the way it is. This is my social contract. I want a single family home. I want a single family neighborhood. You can still have that. But what we're looking at is where can we zone and provide that housing and that economic opportunity. The mandates, nobody likes the mandates. And if we set aside the mandates, cities should be looking at, can we add housing with or without the mandates? Our city has a 13,000 unit mandate for zoning. Remember, not building, but for zoning. So the market will decide if there's 13,000 units that should be built. Personally, I don't think so. When you bought your single family home in the 60s or the 70s, you bought a house that used to be a bean field. So there was an evolutionary zoning change then when we zoned from, in coastal communities up and down the state, rezoned agricultural land to single family homeland. So you went from a house on a 40-acre farm to 10 houses every acre. So you went and added probably 400 houses. Zoning is fluid. And it changes with the time. So zoning is evolutionary. So as the needs of society changes, so should zoning. And 50, 60 years ago, we know Orange County was orange groves, bean fields, and it turned into a suburban destination for LA commuters. They wanted to escape LA and commute to LA. Now, I don't know if you know, but more commuters commute from LA to jobs in Orange County today than they did 50 years ago. So we're evolving, and as we evolve, we have to evolve with the needs of the community and the needs of the businesses. And when we say, okay, well, we've got a zone, businesses need two things in order to thrive. They need employees and they need customers. So when you have businesses like in our city, where we have the highest median age of any city in Orange County, we're at 44 years old, something like that. So we have a lot of people that are retirement age or retiring soon, and they're vacating those jobs. Who's going to fill those jobs? Somebody has to fill those jobs that they're vacating because they're retiring, because retirees are retiring in place. I'm going to retire in place. I'm going to stay in my house till I'm 100 years old, I hope. I hope. And
hopefully it's 150.
You're right. Maybe it's 150. If I drink green tea, it'll be 151. So we can't keep building freeways to build our way out of growth. And so this is why when SCAG determines RENA, there's a lot of factors.
Which is the state agency.
Yeah.
That the local governments that a state is actually told them to.
Correct. Yeah. From Sacramento, housing says, here's your assignment, your quota. And then SCAG, Southern California
local
State,
government,
they divide it up equally, not equally, but they divide it up based on a whole lot of criteria. One of which is where the jobs are, where transportation is, where the people are rent burdened, which means they pay more than 30% of their gross income in rent, where there's a low vacancy rate. Our vacancy in coastal cities is the same. The occupancy rate of apartments is 97 to 88%. That means there's not 2% or 3% available because that's people moving in, people moving out. There are waiting lists. So in order to fill those jobs that are vacant, do we want to fill them with commuters driving in from 90 miles away? We have to build, look at 91 freeway through Corona. I don't even know if it's like 16 lanes wide or something like that now. It's just massive. And at some point we have to say, okay, do we add 2 more lanes? Do we add 4 more lanes? Or do we provide the housing where the jobs are so that we can continue to thrive? And California is the 6th largest economy in the world. And in order to stay there or even go up, we have to develop our economy, and the foundation of a good economy is housing.